This week on For Crying Out Loud, Jill Zarin.
I'm going to have a talk with Adam, and I might have to show him my boobs to show him how good they look when you
Jill
have them.
loves to get naked.
I love to get naked.
I know, you were going to show me in New York.
You
Okay.
wanna show
All right, Jill's going to show us her
And
boobs.
she's stripping.
Okay, you turn around, you.
Carrie, turn around.
Carrie, turn around.
All right,
show
let's
you.
look
Ready?
at the boobs. Wow.
Check out an all-new episode of For Crying Out Loud this Friday, or visit cryingoutloudshow.com, only on the Ace Broadcasting Network. You're listening to the Ace Broadcasting Network.
Today's show is brought to you by Audible. Please visit audiblepodcast.com/BFF for your free audiobook download. And that's BFF, like best friend forever. So, hello, you guys. Well, I'm going to tell you a little bit about our new sponsor. And then I also am going to tell you about some other stuff, some other non-sponsor related stuff. So don't go anywhere. Audible is the internet's leading audiobook provider. They have over 100,000 titles to choose from, which is a lot of titles in all different genres. I was just reading over the list of genres they have. This includes erotica and sexuality and mystery and thrillers and regular non-stuff like that. You get a free audiobook download when you sign up for a free trial today. And I've talked a lot on the show about how I went through a phase where all I did was, well, not all I did, but most of what I did was read dating books. And eventually I got to and that was because I realized that I don't know what the hell I'm doing, and I just kind of needed to rebuild my life and myself, as cheesy as that sounds. So I've talked about the fact that eventually I got to the point where I felt like there was some diminishing returns for me, because I would meet someone and I couldn't be natural, because I'd be like, in chapter 11 it says do this. However, I do think that reading those books helped me immensely, and I've been wanting for a while to tell you guys just a few of the titles that I found helpful, and there's a long list of ones I could give you, but I think I'll just start with two. Mars and Venus on a Date by John Gray. And believe me, I feel cheesy recommending that. However, there's a lot of wisdom in that book, especially if you are someone that really just feels like you don't quite know how to date and you don't know how the beginning parts of a relationship really work. And I think the good thing about that book is that it prevents you from getting bitter and starting to second guess things, because some things that you might take as someone not treating you right, maybe you're reading the situation wrong. And then another book that I would recommend in terms of learning how to read situations correctly is He's Just Not That Into You by Greg Barron and Liz Tuccillo. Or Tuccio. I'm sorry, Liz, might be pronouncing your name wrong. And both of these books are available on Audible, which is great, because back when I read them on paper, like how they had books in the old days, I had to go into the bookstore, and then I had to like slink over to the self-help or dating section, and then I had to hope that no one saw me. Even though one should be able to read their self-help books and be proud, I always felt a little bit embarrassed. And that's the great thing about Audible, or any sort of audio book, is that you can just do it on your computer, and then you can listen on your iPhone or on your computer or on your what have you, and no one will know that you are changing yourself from the inside, and also you're being entertained. So go to audiblepodcast.com/BFF for your free audiobook download when you sign up for a free trial today. And another thing I want to tell you guys, I don't even think Gary, or Gare, as I've decided that I'm going to call him, and also now I just decided I'm not going to call him that, knows this, but we are in very early talks to start sometimes doing this podcast live. So if you like what you hear and you want to see what you hear, and I think you'll like it, then that's good news for you, if you live in the Southern California area. Or who knows, if it's successful, maybe we could come everywhere to where you are. Not everywhere to where you are, but we could go to a lot of places. And it's because I'm this articulate that I think people are really taking to this show. Anyway, as I always say, thank you so much for listening. If you enjoy it, tell a friend, give it a good rating on iTunes, subscribe your friends, subscribe yourself. I'm assuming you're already subscribed. Okay, I've flapped my gums enough. I love you guys. Here's the show.
Alison Rosen. Alison Rosen is your new best friend. Alison, with her good times never end. Alison Rosen, doing the wavy pencil dance again. Alison's your new best friend.
Hi, everyone. Hey, hello. It's me, Alison Rosen, and welcome to the 5th episode of Alison Rosen is Your New Best Friend. I'm happy to be here. I hope you're happy to be listening to this. My guest today is James Gunn, writer, director, actor, producer. Are you a producer?
Yeah, I guess I'm a producer. Yeah.
Cat rescuer.
I'm a cat rescuer as of yesterday. Yeah. That which is great. But I really like your theme song.
Thank you very much.
I wish it was like back in the 70s when theme songs used to be able to become actual top 40 songs, like how Happy Days and Welcome Back, Kotter were top 40 songs.
I know.
And then maybe your theme song would have a chance. But I think in today's atmosphere, it's fucked.
I know.
It's just going to know this show, and it's never going to go beyond it. And I don't mean to be negative or anything like that, but that's my fear.
Thanks for bringing
Just
me
being
down.
honest. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing, though. It will go beyond this show because it will sit in between your ears for weeks.
Yeah, I know.
Weeks
it
on
is.
end.
Yeah.
People have been tweeting me about that, and I choose to think they mean it in a positive way, even though I know that they don't, because I can tell because they say things like, and I hate you because of that.
I might have to get an MP3 of it, though, and play it in my car.
Done and done.
Cool.
So anyway, okay, when you hear this, the show will have been, going on and been on iTunes for a while. But as we're recording this is the.
It's in the past.
I know. I know.
We're in the past right
crazy.
now.
I'm letting them behind the curtain, but I want to tell them that this is the first week that the show has premiered.
Yeah.
And the response has been really good.
That's what I heard. I heard it's huge. I heard it's number one on iTunes.
We're number one on the comedy charts on iTunes, and we've been there ever since before the show even came out. Because I was releasing these little sort of announcements about the show, so people could subscribe before it even started. And we were or are, I'm not sure, number one on the main iTunes charts. Except I keep being bumped to number 2 because This American Life is, I don't know what they're doing.
They're a bunch of pieces of shit.
Thank you. Gary is enjoying
He's
that.
Laughing, yeah.
But so anyway, I wanted to read a bit of an email that I received last night from a woman who's, I'm not going to say her name, but she's 25. And she says, this is part of the email, I'm writing to you just to tell you that your comment about using people as a drug or an escape resonated with me at a really vulnerable time. I was in a relationship that was so unhealthy and so sick. The cycle of the push and pull between us and the high I would experience when I was able to get him back, followed shortly by the sinking feeling that everything about us was wrong, is one that I've experienced over and over for the past few months. However, this cycle gives me a focus and a purpose that I'm not finding in my everyday life. I am envious of you, though, because it seems as though you have found your niche. It's like I couldn't decide if I wanted to say niche or niche.
Yeah, well, you can say either.
I went in between, but I said niche, which is neither.
It came out as niche.
Oh, it did?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, like I would have never
Then we don't have to
noticed.
throw the show away and we can continue.
They can't see your face. I saw on your face where there was like a moment where you were like, what am I going to say?
Yeah.
That was not
What
even
am I
a millisecond.
Oh,
But,
phew.
yeah.
You're the wind beneath my wings
Yeah.
already. So going back to the email, I'm afraid of so many things and I don't want to be afraid. I want to go out and really live and do what's right for me and what makes me happy. Okay, I'm skipping over the next part because it's really about how wonderful I am, and I feel like if I read it, then it'll just make me seem
You want me to read it?
more of an asshole. No, it's kind of. No, it's okay. Let's see. Okay. Listening to you talk about drinking too much, chasing a feeling or a guy, being open about your childhood, these are things that I can relate to in such deep ways that I've found myself re-listening to certain podcasts just because it's like, yeah, okay, this feeling or action isn't totally insane. Or maybe it is, but I'm not the first psycho to do it, and I probably won't be the last. So this thing has been happening. This is me talking again. Now, this thing has been happening to me where people write to me and tell me that they relate to me, and then I relate so strongly to what they're saying about relating to me that I don't know if it's narcissistic and I'm relating to myself via them or if I'm relating to them. But anyway, a lot of relating.
It's like a conversation. I mean, you say something, they say something. I don't think it's narcissistic. You're relating to them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm
But my
letting you- I'm
raising
letting you
that
off the hook
question
on
was
everything.
narcissistic. I know. I really like the way this is going. I'm not meeting resistance anywhere. But here's the thing, though, and I did. But that was sort of a preface to saying I could relate so strongly to what she's saying in this email because I have had those patterns, and especially
Me
the
too.
part where she said, "However, this cycle gives me a focus and a purpose that I'm
Yeah.
not finding in my everyday life." Like I can definitely remember rationalizing bad relationships that way, like
Right.
that whole thing, because it seems like she's very aware of what she's doing, and she's aware that this relationship. Like I feel like if someone can describe a relationship this way, then I can confidently say there's nothing good for you left in that relationship.
Yes.
Don't you agree?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. When I got divorced a few years ago, and about 9 months after I got divorced, I became involved in a relationship with somebody that was. It was sort of amazing, really, initially, because I fell in love. It was one of those love at first sight things, and I felt this kind of love that I maybe only felt one other time in my life, back when I was 22, over some girl who I'm probably still not over in certain ways.
You didn't feel that with the one that the wife. The one
No,
who was your
no,
wife.
I didn't. I really was connected to Jenna, and today Jenna, my ex-wife, Jenna and I are still very, very close friends, and I think in some ways we misinterpreted a really close friendship bond as love.
Right.
And we were crazy too. We had a lot of crazy. All my relationships are crazy, but
Oh,
this
good.
one in particular was because she was engaged to be married to somebody else. And I thought she was going to break up with him, and she didn't. And if I had been healthy, I would have been like, "Listen, I have these, I have these feelings for you," and then just walked away. And when you're ready, you come to me. But instead, we became involved with each other, and it was, I was kind of like the other woman. And I was in this push and pull situation where I was completely in love with her, and she was living someplace else and coming back here. And I was, when I was around her, I was like the happiest I'd ever been in my life. It was
Yes.
like taking heroin, right? Completely happy. And literally every minute that I wasn't with her, I was miserable. I've never been like that before in my life. Of course, always, love can be like that, where you're sad when you're not with them or nervous when you're not with them, and then when you're with them, it's great. But this was to such an extreme
Right.
extent that it was completely messed up on my part. And I think it was partially a rebound from being married and a lot of different things. And but for me, it was self-abusive.
How
and-
long did that go on?
Let's see. I think it went on very, very heavily for like 3 or 4 months, And the interesting thing was it was really quite miserable during that time. But the moment I ended it and said, "I'm walking away. I can't take this anymore." And even in that, like, I left the door completely open. I wrote her, this long message saying, "I can't take it anymore, and I need to walk away. And when you're ready, come back to me." Still, like, in that moment, thinking that I was going to be ready for her to come back. But the minute I let go of it, I really let go of it. I was done. I met somebody like 4 days later and started dating her, and we had a decent relationship, and it was not crazy at all. And the weird thing is, the minute we broke up, that girl had broken up with her. We've dated twice since then.
The one who originally was engaged to someone else.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I really love her, by the way. So, like, I'm really afraid now she's going to listen to this. I really love her. I think she's an amazing person. She's a beautiful person. But we were on the wrong track somehow. And the other 2 times we dated, it didn't work then. And that was when we were both available. And I think that there's sometimes something innately about a relationship. The mechanics of, I was telling somebody this the other day, the mechanics of a relationship, it was somebody who was like in a relationship with somebody who was abusive towards her. Not physically abusive, but like mentally abusive.
Right.
Like, he'd call her names, and like, I just don't, I don't put up with that stuff at all. And I think that the mechanics of a relationship that you're in, when you first meet that person, the basic mechanics of it are almost impossible to change. Like, almost impossible. And so you can make mistakes and do bad things, but if you're treat somebody poorly, and that's putting down somebody else as a part of that relationship.
Right.
Or in the case with me and this girl, this push and pull thing with both of us, where we're available but we're not available, and everything is like this French romantic ideal of love,
Right.
It's like madness and craziness and all that. That is what our relationship is, and it's almost impossible to get away from that.
Yeah, I remember both the therapist, and actually, I say what I want to say to the woman who emailed me is, Thank you for complimenting me on finding my niche. I'm just going to go with it now.
Yeah.
My niche. But all the stuff she said, like just know that I spent years in therapy working on breaking those patterns, and it was hard. And I am in a healthy relationship now, but it took a long time for me to get to a place where I could recognize that and where I could do that. And also, I have the caveat being I am in a healthy relationship now, but I have no idea what's going to happen next week. And for all I know, I'll be hosting this show and I'll be saying, and now I'm single again. So
yeah, but you know what?
never know.
I think my last 2 relationships have been healthy. They both ended, but I don't think that that's a bad thing.
I don't either.
You know, it's like maybe I just wasn't meant to be with those 2 people. My last girlfriend, I mean, I loved her dearly. She's like one of the greatest people I've ever known in my life, and I still love her probably more than anybody else in the world. But for some reason, I wasn't totally comfortable in the relationship. I wasn't happy, and we broke up. But that doesn't mean we served a purpose for each other, and we're both way better people for having dating each other.
Yeah.
We learned a lot, and I became way more vulnerable with her than I ever was with anybody else. And I allowed somebody to comfort me for the first time and do things I had never done before with somebody. And I think that was, it was a great, perfect relationship that worked on every level. But that doesn't mean it has to last forever. And I think I think that people too often look at relationships as something that when you break up with people, that means it was a failure, but that's limiting.
Right. I know, as much as we're talking about unhealthy relationships, there also is that tendency to pathologize stuff that's just a matter of 2 people not being totally compatible.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that I've said on this show before, is that someone can break up with you, and that doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you.
Right.
It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with them either. But there could be. But I mean, if someone doesn't want you, that's about them and what they want, not about you.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes people feel like, I remember with my ex-wife, like she had a dad who would do everything for her, not everything, but her dad wasn't I'm a very communicative person. So if I'm in a relationship with somebody and what they desire and how they feel loved is through communicating, I'm totally cool. I'm okay with it. But when it's like, her dad would like do fixing up around the house and, fill the mom's car with gas and do shit like that. I don't do anything like that. I mean, I really have done everything in my life to cut out any semblance of me having to do small, insignificant tasks in my life. And so if somebody isn't...
Do you help people move? I bet you don't.
I did when I was younger, but I don't. I avoid it.
Yeah.
I mean, I would give them money to help them move.
Right.
Like that's the thing. I've avoided doing that in every way.
Yes.
In my life that I possibly could. And so I think that if somebody needs to feel loved by that, then I'm the wrong person to be with.
Yeah.
And that caused a lot of problems in our relationship. And it's a really simple thing. It's simply because her dad did little tasks around the house. And that's how she thinks she can be loved or feel comforted or whatever. I don't do it.
Can she get outside of that, though? Or is that like that's just a part of her?
I think she did get outside of it to a big extent, and I think that I have certain things. It's unfair that I'm talking about her, like what she needs. It's like I don't know.
She's coming in next week.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's okay. She's cool. But it's I mean, it's I think she did. We worked through a lot of that. That stuff got better. But it's even still, it's hard. I mean, you're kind of built the way you're built. And if you can find somebody who does fit together with you well, and you have the same sort of communication about what love is, what sex is, those types of things, what does sex mean in your relationship? Like that's a big thing. If you're on the same page with that stuff, I think it makes a big difference in how compatible and how long the relationship can last.
Just hearing you say all that, though, just makes me remember and think about something that I think about and had spent a lot of time thinking about often, which is like, God, it is just so hard to make all that stuff work. Yeah. And when it works in a way at the beginning, it feels effortless.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, I had a hard time with relationships for a long time. Yeah. And just relating to other people.
Yeah. Me too. I mean, I can't. Yeah. I mean, I've been through I've had girlfriends since the time I was 12 years old, and I still seem to I've gotten married. I guess I've lived with 4 women over the years, and I can say the one good thing is I'm on good terms with almost everybody who I've broken up with, and I'm still friends with them. So that's something.
Is that by design?
For me, yeah. Yeah, because if I spend a significant amount of, some people, like my last girlfriend, we just love each other. I mean, I feel completely tender towards her. I have no anger towards her in anything in the relationship. We never fought. We never had anger with each other. And it's just the way it is.
Is this Mia?
Mia, yeah.
How
yeah.
long ago did you guys break up?
We broke up 6 months ago.
Okay.
6 months
So
ago.
sort of fresh.
Sort of. It is still fresh to me. Yeah, because we were so connected. It feels
Mm-hmm.
much fresher than usually. Like, I'm shocked. Like, usually by the time 6 months is up,
You've
like,
had 4 more girlfriends?
yeah,
And
well,
lived with 3 of them?
I'm over it. Like, I honestly, I mean, to be completely honest, I usually break up with somebody. I don't even think about it ever again. I mean, it's I may get a little bit of sadness occasionally, but basically I just walk away and I don't have any sort of sadness or mourning or anything. I thought it was something wrong with me, actually, when I talk to my friends and how they feel when they break up with somebody. Breaking up with me, it was not like that. It was, I had and have a lot of, mourning and sadness and, in missing her and feeling, love towards her.
Well, why did you break up, if I may? Which I just did.
Yeah, well, I think that I don't know. I mean, I just wasn't. I mean, I think that there were some ways in which we were different about what we wanted, and in some ways, I just wasn't comfortable. And I think that's
Was it your decision?
We came to the decision together. However, I think that one of the reasons Mia came to the decision was because she was having a hard time living with me being as sad as I was. So I mean, I think it's one of the great things about her, too, because so many girls that I've dated, I'm miserable. I don't like being in this relationship. And they're like, you should still be with me. You're screwing up because I'm the best thing you've ever had.
Yes.
And they don't want me to leave. And Mia wasn't like that. Mia was very, objective about that aspect of it. And she's like, I can see that you are really sad. And because of that, it's not working for me either, because I can't sit around and watch you being sad and know you're being sad in the relationship. So that makes me sad. And she didn't have this other part of her that was like holding on to it because she had some idea of what love was. So if you look at it that way, it was both of us.
And why were you sad?
I don't know. I get feeling trapped very easily. So I don't know.
Were you sad in the relationship or sad in your life?
In the relationship.
Okay.
Yeah. I loved her. That was a difficult thing. I loved her and was in love with her, but I also felt really trapped. And I don't know what that is, and I'm trying to figure it out. I'm trying to figure out if I'm a guy who just can't. I'm just one of those guys that's just never going to get married again, or be in a anything other than a short-term relationship and be a serial monogamist who does that. Or maybe it's just something in the women that I've been choosing in my life that there is something missing in terms of this long-term comfort that's possible for me that I would like to have. I wish that I could have, but I just haven't met that person yet. Or that those are two. Or if there's something in me that I need to get over and learn to deal with that I haven't learned to deal with yet. So yeah.
Is there something that all the women that you're drawn to tend to have? Like, do you tend to go for a certain type repeatedly?
I think that I did up until my last 2 girlfriends.
Get a little more.
Oh, no. Oh, sorry. I didn't know it was going to be so intimate, so I'm getting very far away from the mic. I was talking about my loud voice, but usually I'm making jokes about strip clubs. When I'm in this room with Adam.
Yes.
I think that my last 2 girlfriends were very different choices for me because they were especially Mia. Was a very non-judgmental person. And I think that oftentimes I've picked these sort of girlfriends who have been pretty judgmental. The kind of girlfriends who, you're driving home from a party and they kind of would pick apart like I had done this or I'd done that or there's something that what had I done wrong? Probably because of the way I related to my mother growing up and her being very controlling. And she's a great person, but whatever, that's the way she was. So I think that usually I always picked women like that, and I think Mia was a great choice for me because she wasn't like that. She made me feel very accepted and very loved, and I'd tell her, some fucked up sexual thing that I had done in the past or some idea I had that I thought was crazy and dark and insane, and she just took it as being a part of me, and she was cool with it. So I really enjoyed that.
So do you think that's something that you're looking for in the next person you
definitely.
go out with?
And it's going to be hard to find somebody that is as non-judgmental as she was.
And so what is, if you don't mind talking about your marriage, what happened with that? And so for anyone who doesn't know, you were married to Jenna Fischer.
Right. Yeah.
The Office fame.
Yes. I think Jenna and I, we got married kind of young, and she was very young, and we were both volatile personalities. I think of us both as entertainers in certain ways.
Were you both already doing what you do now?
Yes. I was already becoming successful in my own way, and she had not. She was struggling. And so that was a part of our relationship in the beginning that I think was very difficult. But I think that it was really a matter of, Jenna was such a dynamic person, and I guess I consider myself a dynamic person. We were so attracted to each other. I don't think we'd ever really met anybody like each other. I had just moved to Los Angeles when I met Jenna, and she was this amazing person to me.
From New York?
From New York, right. And she had just moved here from St. Louis. And we just really it was this dynamic situation and the thing that attracted us to each other, I remember initially, was not only our looks and the sexuality and all that, but also the fact that we both were funny. So we were making jokes, and it was just very natural, this thing that we had, and we fell deeply in love, and it was very crazy, and got engaged after 4 months. Jenna actually asked me to marry her, which was a weird situation. And then we got married. And I think that over the years, there was a lot of growing up that both of us needed to do that we hadn't done. I think that both of us were in the prime of our lives in terms of coming out. I had been in another relationship actually during the time when I met Jenna. And so I think that both of us had a lot of ourselves that we had never expressed or experienced.
How old were each of you?
I guess Jenna was, early 20s, and I was mid to late 20s. And then I think the other thing is that, and I think this was one of the main things, actually, in the end. I remember when we were getting divorced, and we didn't hire lawyers or anything like that. Everything was very easy to get through. We just sat down and decided what we each took.
Russell Brand and Katy Perry.
Is that what they did?
Well, they might have lawyers, but he doesn't want any of her millions.
Yeah.
Even though he's entitled to them.
Yeah.
She made $44 million while they were together. I've done this news story on the Adam Carolla show. That's why I know it.
Yeah, we were luckier because it was more equal. But it was, so we split up. And I remember us sitting there afterwards when we were with the mediator. And it was I think the main thing is I'm just kind of a weirder person than Jenna. I think Jenna has a very weird personality. She has a weird sense of humor. But at the basis of who she is, she loves sitting at home and, watching TV with whoever she's in a relationship with. She wanted to have children real bad. I was uncertain about that. And she wants to have a normal family life. And I kind of live this life where I flit around and I go all over the place. I have a lot of friends, and I like to do things in an abnormal way. I don't think either of those things is wrong. Those are just what our personalities are, but they're really different when it comes to living a life.
Right.
And I think at the very core of it, that's all it was. It was just that simple. We just wanted different lives.
See, that's interesting because I would describe your aesthetic as sort of dark and weird and funny. But I didn't know your lifestyle was that as well. So she would want to sit home and watch TV versus what would be your dream evening, or maybe not dream evening, average evening at home.
Well, I don't stay at home. I mean, I go out. I go out a lot, but I hang out. I go, and also I travel a lot. I didn't want to have, I didn't want to have to be I guess like a modern father,
Right.
So it's I didn't really, I like to travel a lot, I like to travel, go around. I wouldn't mind living someplace else for a little while. And I do live that way because I shoot movies. So I go away and I have to shoot a movie and I'm gone for 5 months. I'm in another country. And all that is very comfortable to me. That's just the way I am. And to her, that was not comfortable. I mean, her being on The Office is a really cool thing because it's basically a job.
Yeah,
where
it's
she
stable.
wakes up, goes to work, shoots the show, comes home. As the years go on, she gets more and more freedom in terms of her hours and what she's able to do. And I think that was I think that's the basis of what it was, and she is she's married now and has a kid with a guy who's like just the greatest, nicest guy in the world, and I think perfect for Jenna. So, yeah.
Is that hard for women you dated after her, knowing who she is? Being like, oh.
Not that anybody has ever said, no. No.
But maybe you're not getting the full story? That's what you're suggesting?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I mean, listen, I've only, I had my crazy relationship after Jenna. I had my crazy relationship, which I talked about.
Thrice.
The thrice crazy relationship. And then I dated another girl who was a musician, and she was great. And we were together for, a year or almost, around a year. And then I dated Mia after that for 2 years. So it's only been those people. I don't think Mia doesn't even think about life in that way. So she didn't have that problem, and I don't think my girlfriend before that had that problem.
So now it's been 6 months. Is this the longest you've been single in a long time?
No, I seem to really I'm trying to be careful because I seem to have this pattern, and my pattern is this. It's like I'm in a relationship for a while. Then I get out of the relationship and I'm crazy. Then I have sex with a lot of people. I do a lot of insane stuff.
Is that when the stripper rape happened? And by the way, I should clarify that you were raped by a stripper.
Right, I was raped by the stripper.
It's a lot different sounding if I casually refer
Yeah.
to when you raped a stripper.
Yeah, that's when that happened. So I have kind of a crazy period, and then I go, oh my God, this is so boring and shallow. I'm so sick of this, and I want to meet girls that I really like. So I'm going to start dating, and I'm going to date really quality women who I have some potential, with, and then I start dating people, and maybe the first or second person I start going on a date with, I fall in love with, and then I'm in a relationship again for, however many years. And it's been happening that way since I was 17 years old.
What do you make of that? Is it like when you decide the time's right?
I think
the time is just right? Or?
I think once I open up myself to the idea of love, to letting somebody into my heart, then I'm really an emotional guy. And when I'm not open to that, I'm an emotional guy in terms of I really enjoy people and like being with people. When I say I sleep around, I connect with people. I don't not connect with people. It's just the way I am. But I don't commit to people. And it's in my head that I'm not going to commit to somebody because I'm not ready to do that, then I just don't. I don't get sucked into something because I don't even think about it from the beginning, But it's once I'm open to that concept, then it happens instantly.
Once you're open to committing.
Once I'm open to the possibility of committing, I end up committing immediately. And so what I've done this time is, there was a little bit of craziness when I first broke up, but then ever since then, it has not been that way. And I think one of the reasons is because I've been going through this grieving process that's completely foreign to me that I've never experienced before. So I've been grieving over my past relationship and feeling sad about it and, doubting and, going through all of that sort of stuff. But also, I think I'm not really interested in, because of my age or because of whatever, but I'm not really interested in fucking around. It's not really what I'm looking for.
Right.
I'm looking to date people and meet people and, and see what's happening and connect with somebody. And, and if it's light and partying, that's fine, but not do my usual thing. And I think I've done it enough, frankly, in life. I mean, it does get repetitive.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, I got it. We're now talking about different patterns, but I definitely got to a point in my life where I'm like, I don't need to stay out at a bar till 4 a.m. doing stupid things. I think I've truly had my fill of that. And maybe girls reach their fill of acting out, girls who do that younger, I don't know, than guys do, but...
Yeah, you guys have a biological thing that
Right.
affects you. I mean, so it's any guy who's dated a lot of women knows that there's a big difference between,
That's true. So that's why you date exclusively 19-year-olds now?
It's close to that.
What's
It's
weird is
close.
that I remember being the person who was the young girl who was dating the older guy.
Yeah.
Completely oblivious to the fact that that was the situation that I was in.
Yeah.
He is going to continue getting older and he's going to keep dating this kind of age
Yeah.
because that's how much he doesn't... when I was 19, I dated someone who was 27. He was a musician,
Yeah.
really funny. Probably he's still dating a 19-year-old somewhere because that's how much he doesn't want to do the life. That's how
Right.
much he wants to just keep things very light. And I didn't get that at the time.
Yeah,
So-
that's... Yeah, I don't want to say that I do that, but I guess I do to some extent.
Oh.
So
I wasn't actually saying you do that. Now you're saying that. Something I wanted to say from before, though, because otherwise I'll completely forget it, is that what I was saying is that a therapist and my dad had said to me that when you first meet someone at the beginning of the relationship, that's the best you'll see them.
Yeah.
And why I brought that up because, I know, because you were saying sort of the way that the relationship comes
Yeah.
together, what it's made of at the beginning, fundamentally, it doesn't really change.
It doesn't change, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes it's like, sometimes when people meet each other and people are subtly cutting each other down, I think that's a big thing that's like a fucked up relationship. People who are cutting each other down instead of propping each other up.
But do you mean in a banter way, though? Because I mean, I know for me, that oftentimes that's flirtatious.
No, not
You don't-
not playful.
Okay.
No, not as like a prelude that like
Right.
no. I do that all the time. No. I mean actually cutting.
Okay.
Like there's actually a thing where you're cutting each other down, and I see it in other people's relationships.
So actual
all
hostility.
The time. Yeah, like a very undercurrent. Sometimes it does seem playful, but it's not really. It's like anytime somebody is profiting off of putting themselves above their partner in some way.
Yeah.
That is like the basis of a relationship. And all abusive relationships are like that. I mean, they're all like that, whether it's physically abusive or it's just, and I've been in minorly abusive relationships, not physically abusive, but ones where you're just kind of like being mean to each other. And, even if you're calling each other assholes or whatever, it's just like, I mean, I can't imagine doing that. Like, to the past few people who I've dated, I can't imagine like calling them a name, for example. I just would never do it because it's not how I think about that person.
But there was a time where you
Yeah, I would do
But
that.
like what, or like on what order? Like calling someone an idiot, or what are we talking about?
Yeah, I think it's getting in a fight and calling somebody a bitch, or getting in a fight and calling somebody an asshole, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Do you tend to fight a lot in relationships?
No. I mean, I used to have quite a temper, period. I mean, I had quite a temper growing up. So I would get in fights all the time with friends, girlfriends. I rarely, honestly, with my last two relationships, I don't think I got into we had conflicts that we'd have to work through, but I rarely ever got into a fight.
Something that I try to figure out, and lately I've been trying to figure out, which maybe you'll have some insight into this, is in a relationship, I don't think you should always share what you're feeling if what you're feeling is something, if the person's doing something that's making you feel this way or whatever, I don't think it should be a 100% this thing made me feel this and blah, 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 blah. But at the same time, I have to fight against this urge to hold everything in.
Yeah.
Because I don't ever want to unfairly malign someone. So if something happens, I pretty much have to go home and think about it and figure out, am I right to feel this? Or I second guess my own feelings all the time. So I don't know.
I think I'm pretty good at that now. I actually do think that I'm pretty good at that.
Okay, good.
Because
how do you know?
Okay, well, here's the thing. This is another thing that was weird about me and Jenna. When Jenna and I got together, we had this idea that to be intimate, you had to share everything with each other.
Yes.
So I would go out, and I remember going once to some editing room or something like that, and there was this very hot girl there who I felt attracted to, and I thought she was kind of flirting with me, and I remember it's then I have to come home and confess it. When it's this confessional mentality in a relationship where anything I think that's fucked up or any little thing I do that's messed up, I have to tell her constantly, confessional, to keep the slate clean. But it's because I believe that I'm a bad person that I have to do that. It's from growing up Catholic.
I was just going to say.
And I think after a certain while, I learned that there's things that you don't need to tell your partner because it hurts them, and if I'm attracted to somebody, that's not a bad thing. It's just a part of being in a relationship. In general, she knows that I'm attracted to other people. I don't have to tell her every single time it happens. And it's also focusing on the negative as opposed to focusing on the positive. There was no, corresponding belief that every time I had a positive thought about Jenna that I had to tell her.
Right.
It was just every time I had a negative thing, I had to tell her. So it's
right. It's not
confessional.
that thing of if you believe the positive reviews, you have to believe the negative ones too.
Yeah. And it was just everything I had to do. So today I think that I'm much better at learning, and then I went through other relationships where I would just hold probably too much back. But today I think I'm pretty good at am I not telling somebody something because it makes me feel vulnerable and weak, or am I not telling them something from some fucked up belief that I have to confess everything.
Right.
And I think I'm much better at knowing where that line is, you know, because there's things I'm afraid to tell somebody. And that's usually like afraid because of being like sharing myself. And if it's about sharing myself, then I think that I can usually tell that person. But also, we're all individuals, so I think it's okay to have, you know, it's not good to have big secrets in relationships. You know, I mean, like, obviously, like cheating and stuff. Every time I've been a part of something like that in any way, it's like destroyed everything instantly.
Yeah.
But in terms of having smaller things, it's like not that big of a deal. I mean, I don't have to tell somebody everything.
Have you been through therapy?
Yeah. I've been in therapy forever.
How's that going?
Can't you tell?
Well, the reason I asked is because you sound self-aware and you sound like my belief is that everyone can benefit from therapy.
Yeah.
And I'm actually not in therapy right now. I was actually just discussing this on this show last week, so I won't go into it too much. But I was in therapy. I'm from California originally. I was in therapy for a long time when I was in California, and then I moved to New York, and I lived there for almost 10 years, and I had a therapist in New York. And when I moved back to California a little over a year ago, I just looked up my old California therapist, and at the beginning it was really cool, like in a nostalgic kind of way. But I mean, this is someone that I had gone to when I was in college, and pretty quickly it just began to feel like maybe not the right fit anymore, or I didn't want to put the time in to sort of fill in the gaps. And I felt like she was relating to me like I was still working on the same stuff that I was working on back then, when really I think it's different, even though maybe it's the same. I don't know. So, but I didn't want to put the time in to find a new therapist. So anyway, now I just have this show where I talk about what's going on in my head.
Yeah, right. So now this works. Yeah.
Right, now I have this.
You're unloading it on these poor people that are listening now.
I'm unloading it on the listeners and on the people in my private life.
Yeah.
However, there are things that come up where all of a sudden, and I've talked about this too, like all of a sudden I'll just start crying because of a certain song, which everyone does that to a degree, especially women, but I can tell it's something is being struck deep within me. Yeah. And I'm like, my emotions, I'm not as aware of what's going on as I would be if I were in therapy, so I should probably get back in therapy. I don't know. But so anyway, what's your therapy experience?
I've been in therapy forever. I mean, I started, I got sober when I was pretty young, and so I went through treatment, and that was probably like really...
How bad was it before you got sober?
It was bad, I was a drug addict.
Did you choose, or did someone suggest it?
Well, somebody suggested it, but it was after I had hit bottom already. I had hit bottom in a big way, and went to my dad, and my dad's like, I think that you should, and in my brain, I'm like, I'm doing a lot of drugs, I'm doing a lot of cocaine, and in my brain, it was like, I thought I was hitting bottom, like, not because of the drugs, I thought it was just something else. And my dad was like, how much drugs are you doing? And I was like so fucked up at the time, I was honest. And then he's like, I think you need to go to treatment. And he took me into treatment, and I went in.
So can I ask, what was your bottom though?
Well, that's really, I mean, it wasn't like a specific, it was an emotional thing. I mean, I lost it. I was crazy. Okay. I mean, literally thinking I'm controlling things with my mind. And it was from doing a lot of heavy drugs. Yeah. And I was a fucking mess. And so, I hit bottom and went to treatment, got sober, never relapsed. But started therapy then. I went through therapy for a little while, and then, would go away for a little while, tried therapists occasionally that weren't so good. But then when I moved here to Los Angeles, which is like 12 years ago now, I started seeing a therapist pretty soon after I moved out here. And I still see that same therapist today. So I've gone through periods of maybe a year where we haven't seen each other, but I go back, and I have to say I've probably seen her for easily 10 years of that 12 years. So.
Yeah, there was a time where I used to think that you just go to therapy till you're kind of fixed, or where the problem is fixed, and then you leave. And then I realized, no, if you can afford it and you're benefiting from it, it's almost like, I don't know, getting massages or which is something I don't actually do, but just something where it's just the exercise of going is therapeutic, and it can help your life kind of for a really long time, I think.
I find like there's like 5 things in my life, and if I really do those 5 things, I'm happy. And like those 5 things are when I go to therapy, when I exercise every day, when I meditate once a day. So I meditate, and then I have to talk to a friend once a day. So I have like 3 really close friends who I talk to, and really share with. And if I do all those things, then generally I'm happy. Even when I get sad or depressed for a couple of days, it's not this like terrible thing.
See, that's really good. And it's really good that it sounds like you know that and you accept that and you don't fight against it. Because there are certain things which are going to sound really kind of stupid and mundane compared to those things. But like, I can't tell you how much time I spend trying to figure out what time of day to shower.
Right.
If I don't have something I have to do.
Right.
Whereas I suspect if I just woke up and just took a shower and just got on with my day, it would just be easier. But instead, I'm like, well, I don't have to be anywhere right now, so I'm not going to. So
Yeah.
then I sit around. It's stupid. And also just making decisions is difficult for me often. And then I get upset with my own inability to make a decision. However, if it was ever anything really important, that I could do. It's when I'm sitting there with a menu at a restaurant that I'm like,
Yeah.
could you come back in 2 minutes? It's
Yeah.
that thing.
Yeah, I don't have that. I know so many people in my life have that issue, that choice, that problem with making
Yeah,
choices. I don't seem to have that thing.
That's
it's like,
good.
I don't really care that much. But I do think that like the basic things that make people happy in life, like, you have all these self-help people and these books that come out on how to make people happy. But the real truth of it is the things that make people happy are really stupid and really simple. Like, honestly, there is nothing that's going to make a person happier than you. If you exercise 10 minutes a day, it'll make a huge difference in your life if you haven't been doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that simple. But people don't want to hear it. They want to hear, Anthony Robbins and changing your thinking about being a negative statement to a positive statement and something like this. But,
Right.
Really go work out and you're going
it's
to be happier.
impossible to be unhappy if you're whistling.
Yeah.
That's what he would say.
There's a great book that I'll actually plug that people can read called The How of Happiness, which it's great and it's boring. But what it is they actually take people and it's a psychologist who's done all these tests on happiness for like the past 20 years. And the first thing, so it's actually, it's a way of like measuring happiness in people and what really does affect people and how they see things. And the first thing they find out is that like, 50% of our happiness is genetic. Like 50% of how happy we are is just in our biological makeup, and for all of us, we're different levels of happiness. I think I'm probably a, averagely happy person. And then 10% of it is based on external circumstances. You get a new job, it's a nice day out that day, all those types of things, but only 10%. And then the other 40%, that's what the book is about, is what you can focus on to change just basically how happy you are. And again, and then they have like, 20 things that you can do and do them in different ways. And it's really specific, like how you do it. But they're all really the stupid things that you read Hallmark cards about, like counting your blessings. But they've also got it down to such a way that if you count too many blessings, you're actually
Despair.
not happy. Well, you're not. It doesn't really help you. It's like a specific amount of stuff.
Right.
But it's a fascinating book, and it actually has proof. It's actually something that comes out of a lot of psychological studies, as opposed to Anthony Robbins, who I think is cool, by the way. But Anthony Robbins saying, "Oh, I have this idea, and I'm going to change your lives."
Right. I'm going to have to check out this book.
Yeah, it's really cool.
See, I think oftentimes there's too much. I think it's great to be happy and to try to be happy, and it's a goal. But there's such an emphasis in culture on you should be happy all the time and instantly happy. Yeah. And I just think that then almost leads to feeling unfulfilled and feeling like there's something wrong in your life that you're not singing all the time.
I think that's true. I remember when I went to a retreat when I was a kid. My friend Tim and I went to this. We went to we had to go with our high school to a retreat, and one of the priests there went around in the circle to all the kids and said, "What is it that you want out of life?" And everybody went around in the circle, and almost every single kid in the room said, "I want to be happy." And there was one kid who said, "I want to make a lot of money." And I think looking back, that kid was far wiser than the rest of the kids.
Right.
Because I think that really what does make you happy is having a goal in
money.
mind. Yeah, it's money. Yeah. Yeah. No, but it's having a goal of something that you want to do, of, having a, putting specific goals in front of yourself as opposed to the amorphous idea of being happy. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that.
Well, I want to ask you how you got into doing what you do and I know you're currently working on a Scooby-Doo movie, right?
No. I've been working on Scooby-Doo for a long time.
Oh, where did I get that?
I don't know. I did 2 Scooby-Doo movies back in whatever, that early, I did Scooby-Doo, the movie, and Scooby-Doo 2.
And there's not a Scooby-Doo 3 coming out?
No.
God damn it, your Wikipedia page.
Oh, don't trust.
Totally.
Don't trust.
Totally.
I have a stalker on Wikipedia. I can't go on Wikipedia anymore. There's some crazy dude.
Don't, because
In
I
fact,
think it
anybody,
says you're still working.
Anybody who's out there who wants to
Doesn't
like
make
change
sense.
my Wikipedia page, please do, because there's some crazy dude on Wikipedia that keeps putting on all this nonsense, or at least he did for a long time. Some same dude that was on IMDb and had like 3,000 posts about me and Kevin Smith. I shouldn't even acknowledge the guy, but like, yeah, it's. I can't even go on anything on the internet other than news sites that don't have anything to do with
Right.
me. Or I'll do Facebook and Twitter. I don't seem to get much negative stuff on. I know like Rainn Wilson has tons of mean people on Twitter. I don't seem to get that.
Do you ever get it?
Very, very occasionally, but we're talking about one of every 1,000 tweets at me at best.
Mm-hmm.
So, but some of those people, I don't know. Some of those people get huge amounts of
Yeah.
criticism.
Yeah.
They don't even read the replies.
I know. I've heard people say they recommend, just don't read it. It's
Yeah.
like, well, but it's really hard not to.
Yeah, I read them because it's like
You kind of want to
yeah.
get a sense of.
I mean,
what
it gets
people-
crazy sometimes when
Yeah.
I can't read all of them, but I want to read them mostly because I have a lot of friends actually on Twitter who tweet at me about stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Okay, so what are you working on now then?
I'm
throwing out everything I
What
read.
am I working on? I'm working on a video game called Lollipop Chainsaw, which is going to be released in, it's going to be released in the next few months. We don't have an announced release date yet, even though I know it in my brain. I can't share it with you. So it's me and this guy named Suda51, who's a Japanese game designer. We got together to create this awesome game called Lollipop Chainsaw. You can see all sorts of trailers for it on the internet. I got a bunch of my actor friends involved. They did the voices. I directed all of the actors in it and wrote the script. And it's been a really awesome experience. So I'm doing that. I've got another movie project which we're just starting on, and then I have a movie coming out with the Farrelly brothers called Movie 41
Oh, cool.
in the summer.
And did you write that? Direct that?
It's a whole bunch of comedy directors who directed different sections of the movie. And so, Peter Farrelly and Griffin Dunn and Brett Ratner and me and a couple of other guys.
Mm-hmm.
And so that comes out in the summer sometime. Yeah.
Cool. And PG porn, is that
PG
still
porn is still.
happening?
I haven't been shooting. I still have a PG porn that I have to finish editing that I'm going to put up at some point. So I have one more
Right.
PG porn.
PG porn, which is hilarious. And now, for anyone who doesn't know what that is, how would you just? It's like a
PG porn is pornography for people who love everything about porn
Right.
except the sex. So let's say you're watching a wonderful porn and you're enjoying the set dressing and the acting and the great funky music and everything about it, the cinematography, and then all of a sudden they start coming in with this disgusting, filthy, pornographic sex.
right. It totally takes you out of the moment.
Takes you out of the moment, destroys all of the great aesthetics that they've built up until then. And so in PG porn, when a plumber comes to a woman's door to fix a sink, you actually get your sink fixed, unlike in most porn. So yeah, PG porn. There's a bunch of episodes on YouTube and on Spike.com. I think we've got like nearly 40 million hits now on PG porn, so it was a lot of fun. Every episode stars an actual porn star and a mainstream actor like Nathan Fillion or Alan Tudyk or Craig Robinson from The Office, and it was a whole lot of fun to do.
Cool. Well, I say we take a phone call or two because I see
Cool.
that I think callers are dropping because they've been sitting there for a while. Let's go to Will. Will?
Hello.
Hi, Will. Thanks for calling in.
Hi, Allison. You're welcome.
So what's going on?
Well, there's this girl that I've been friends with for a very long time, but I like her more than a friend. It bothers me, her not knowing,
Mm-hmm.
and I really want to tell her, but I'm concerned about keeping the friendship intact, and also just like what she would think.
Go for it.
Hey, you want to? Will, how old are you?
I'm 15.
Okay, great. So this is good. You can remember this for the rest of your life, okay? And this is very, very important. If you want to have luck with women, just remember this: that The guys who are very successful with women get rejected an awful lot. And the thing you have to let go of when you're approaching a woman and telling her your feelings is how she'll react. Like maybe she won't like you, you know, and maybe the next girl after that won't like you either. But then you're going to get one who's going to dig you, and it's going to be the most amazing thing ever. So you have to, if you have feelings for somebody, just tell them. What have you got to lose? Somebody decides they don't like you back. That's okay. That's the way of the world. But it's something, now that you're 15, you have total control over this. You can start to set up your life right now to do it in such a way that you can have success with girls for the rest of your life. Just start setting it up little by little, and you don't have to do it all at once. Just do it in a little way. Write her a note, or tell her some night, hey, listen, I like you as more than a friend. And if she doesn't like you, so what, man? It doesn't mean anything bad about you.
Oh, hey, can I give you a piece of advice real quick?
Yeah.
You were talking about things to do that make you really happy, and you were talking about exercising and meditation.
Mm-hmm.
I do both those things almost daily. Another thing that really is awesome is eating a ton of fruits and vegetables. It really makes you feel good after you do something like that.
I agree with you. I agree. If you eat healthy, it makes a huge difference in how you feel about yourself. Yeah, especially when people binge eat or overeat. That really screws up, or eat too much flour stuff.
Can I ask one more question?
Sure.
Who's screening the calls? Because I've called into Ace Broadcasting before, and so far this is the nicest screening process that I've been through.
Oh, you can thank Gary for that.
Wow, I got all defensive there.
I know. I kind of did too.
I was perfectly nice to this guy.
I
What's his
know.
problem? Well, thank you very much, Will. My name's Gary.
Yeah, thank you, Will. So is this one of your really good friends? How well do you know this girl?
We've been friends like 6 years. Know her fairly well. It's really odd because she'll talk to me about problems with other guys and ask me to help, with her dilemmas.
Do you think she knows that you like her as more than a friend?
No, because I think that if she did, she wouldn't talk to me about problems with other guys and then ask me for advice about it.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like you have to tell her?
Yeah,
It bothers you that she doesn't know?
Yeah, because before I'm like, well, she's happy, I'm happy, and all right, but now she's not really happy, and it bothers me.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think what James said is good advice and is liberating, this idea that, you should get over thinking about how the girl's going to react. It's more about just putting your feelings out there.
Yeah, it's a kind of healthy self-centeredness to think what really matters is how I feel about her. And listen, that's what girls like too, to be completely honest. Girls love a guy who's able to say, hey, I have, these are my feelings. This is what I think. This is what I want. And it's sort of a way of taking the lead, because then you're not looking at her every second to see how she feels about something. That's
actually one of the main things that made it so that I could continue to get closer to my current boyfriend, is that from the beginning I knew he liked me, but I didn't feel responsible for his emotions.
Right.
And I remember talking to my sister about it and saying that I feel no pressure, and I don't know if he's just really confident or just really good at playing the game. And my sister was like, well, it doesn't matter, just that's great. And I still don't know what it was. I still think that it was a confidence in him, that he was going to be fine regardless of how I felt about him, and that does make a guy much more attractive to a girl.
Yeah, and remind yourself that too, Will, that if you say how you feel and she doesn't like you back, you're going to be okay. And that's one of the things. I think that when you're trying to get girls, getting rejected is a good thing, because you're putting another little, good karma in the bucket. And eventually, when that karma bucket of rejection fills up, you're going to hit on something gold. So it's all a good thing. I think you should definitely tell her how you feel. And the thing is you're going to be, 25 years old someday, and you're either going to look back on this and go, God damn it, why didn't I tell her how I felt? But if you look back on it and she didn't like you, you're not going to care. You're going to be happy that you did it.
Well, thanks. I never thought about that whole karma thing. And I think that makes sense. And Alison, I really like you on the Adam Carolla show.
Oh,
and
thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. And I look forward to hearing you daily for many years to come.
Thank you, Will. All right, well, thank you for calling in.
All right, bye.
Bye, Will.
Good luck, buddy.
Okay, now let's talk about him. Here's the thing. I didn't want to necessarily disagree with you while we were talking to him.
Because what, you think she doesn't like him because she's talking about other guys?
I figured it'd be better if he listens afterwards and then realizes that maybe I'm an asshole. This is the thing. I think that because of movies, everyone thinks if you like someone, just tell them. When in real life, usually, in my experience, when you tell someone, they already knew.
So what?
So therefore, the fact...
I think that's almost always true, too.
Yeah.
But so what?
Well,
because
but
sometimes, there's a lot of women out there who are clueless, like totally clueless over to whether somebody's interested in them or not.
We've made you think that?
No, it's true.
No,
I know it's true. I mean, not all women are like that. There's very different types of women. Some women are very perceptive to whether guys like them or don't like them or whatever. And then other girls are just they don't even notice it. She may not know, and so maybe she knows, and so what?
Do you think this is going to go well for him when he tells her? I understand what you're saying.
Like
you're saying
putting odds on it? Putting odds on it, no. I don't think it's going to go well for him, but I think it's going to be good for him to do it no matter what. And listen, 15 years old, like, girls want to be liked when they're 15 years old. Like, think about being 15 and all the guys that could have, well, I don't know what you were like, but, you know, when I was 15, if a girl, I got talked into making out with so many girls that I would have never, wanted to make out with, because it's just it's nice to be liked, you know? And I was not very aggressive when I was 15, but I was around, aggressive females, and it was, it's like you're 15 and somebody tells you they like you and they try to make out with you. Usually you go with it. So he's got a good chance of at least, French kissing with her a little bit.
Maybe, but did you watch My So-Called Life?
I've seen it.
It wasn't like my favorite show, so I don't know why I'm referring to it, but I'm thinking of Angela, and I think the guy's name was Brian. What I'm imagining is Will and his female friend, and they're buddies, and they've been buddies forever, and everyone tells her, I think Will likes you, and she's like, I don't know. And then he does, and then I just wonder, how is it going to affect the friendship potentially negatively?
He doesn't give a shit.
Okay.
You know what? He's not around her
He
because
just wants
he's
a little
actually
tang.
her.
Yeah.
Well,
I gotta agree with James here. He's around her because he likes her
Yeah.
and wants to be dating her.
Yeah.
And ultimately, when he goes to her and I kind of agree with you that there's a good chance she already knows and isn't going to be interested, but it's going to build his character, and he's going to not immediately, he's going to say, yeah, we're still friends, but he's going to look back 18 months down the road, and that's not going to be one of his close friends.
Yeah. And if she rejects him, like right now, he's probably wasting all his time and energy and sexual energy at the age of 15 on that one girl.
And calling podcasts.
If she cuts him loose.
Having wonderful experiences with this call screener.
If she cuts him loose, then he's going to have the opportunity to go meet somebody else that actually will like him.
Right. I think you're right.
It works out best for him no matter what if he tells her.
Yeah. To be afraid to tell someone how you feel probably doesn't help you at all. Because when I think about it, the times that, and actually my sister and I have talked about this with each other, like the times that we have, because both of us had this pattern of being really good friends with a guy that we had feelings for, and it was always like a friendship that was sort of more than a friendship, but less, I used to call them relatio friendships. They were more than a friendship, less than a relationship, but I was obviously getting something emotional out of it, but I wanted something more, but, in retrospect, the guy obviously didn't, and then sort of confessing how, and we both separately did this, like confessing how we felt, and it never went where we wanted it to, but ultimately it always sort of it made the next phase of our life happen in a better, faster way.
Don't you do you ever do that thing where you waste time being around some guy who, you have feelings for?
Yes, I spent
years
years doing that.
But one of the reasons he's around you is because you do have feelings for him and you're pumping up his ego on a consistent basis.
I know. Whereas if I were the kind of had I been the kind of stronger female who made my feelings clear right away and needed to know whether he felt the same, then that friendship wouldn't have gone on for as long as it did.
Yeah.
But I wanted it to at the time, I think.
So you were enjoying it, and he was enjoying it. I think I mean, I think that exists a lot. I mean, I can be in relationships like that where I have feelings for somebody or somebody has feelings for me, and I'm just, can kind of low level enjoy that attraction.
Right.
But not really mean to go through with it.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, at the time, I felt like there was sort of a safety in I'll continue to get to know this person and I'll hold all my feelings about them inside and I'll over-interpret every little bit of anything they say to me. It was a very young way of approaching relationship as opposed to now as an adult where it's usually much more clear. It's like you kind of know how the person's feeling and
I guess, man, I still do the same things like, trying to figure out how somebody feels. You meet somebody on Facebook who you like, or you meet somebody at a party and then you befriend them on Facebook.
Right.
You start messaging each other and you don't really know is this girl interested in me sexually? What makes it worse too is being a film director, to be completely honest, because then you meet people and you're like, does she like me because I have some degree of fame,
or does she want to be in Scooby-Doo?
Like, does she? Yeah, she want to be in my.
She's reading
my
the
new
wrong
Scooby-Doo
stuff,
movie. Has she been reading Wikipedia and wants to be Daphne or Velma? But I mean, and so it's like it makes it the signals can be difficult to decipher.
Do you ultimately think it's something where by thinking about it you can figure it out, or is it just going to be a gut feeling?
I think it's going to be like how you figure it out is by walking down that road.
Right.
And so that doesn't mean, necessarily saying, hey, I like you or I'm interested in you. But it might just mean more communication, and then over time, then you start to figure out that you like each other little by little. It's basically all a big version of sitting in the movies. All of a sudden, her hand is next to you, and you go, "Oh, what does that mean exactly?" And then your hand goes down, and then your pinkies are touching, and you're like, going, "Oh, I think that she's into this because our pinkies are touching."
Right, because I moved my hand away a tiny bit.
Yeah, and then you move your pinky a little bit, and then she moves her pinky, and then all of a sudden the pinkies are intertwined, and you're like, I'm there. And I think it's everything is just that. So, but I hate it. I hate to this day trying to figure out if a woman likes me as something more than a friend or she likes me as a friend, or if she likes me as more than a friend, or if she just wants to meet a director. It can be a hard thing to do.
And the thing is that there's sort of this whole gray area in the middle of that too, though, where like there's certainly guys that I've hung out with where I didn't. Usually, if I'm spending a lot of time with a guy, in one of those sort of questionable where is this going things, I haven't put him in the just friend box at all. If I had, it would go differently.
Yeah.
Usually part of the reason there's a question mark, I think, is because I don't really know, but I'm open to it, but maybe I'm not. Okay, I could be hanging out with a guy and I for sure want to be naked with him. That's one situation. Or I could be hanging out with a guy and I don't know how I feel, but I think maybe there's something there. I don't know, but I'm open to it. But I'm flattered by the attention.
I'm like 100% like you.
That's where most of them are.
Me too. Like I'm like, is this person a friend? Am I like, if I have to really have that like crazy like attraction for me to be like, I'm sure I want to get with that person. But even then, I can have that crazy attraction, and then I start talking to them, and then I go, for instance, if it's
and they ruin it.
Well, it's not that they ruin it. It's just like then I start to see like there's a lot of women who want, I don't know how to explain this. Like if it's a woman who just wants to have sex, then it's easy because then you go and you have sex, and then maybe it turns into a relationship, or maybe it doesn't. I mean, that's unfortunately how I usually work. But if it's somebody who like wants to date and takes the steps of like, you kiss on the second or third date, and then you do this, and then you do that. Well, then it feels like it's such a big commitment to me.
Right.
From the very beginning, I'm like, unless I'm absolutely head over heels over somebody, it's unlikely I'm going to take those steps.
And yet that whole process is supposed to be for you to figure out whether you are head over heels. It's sort of backwards,
I know. I don't think I'm very adult in those situations. I don't know that
anyone is anymore, honestly.
Yeah.
Like I was just talking to someone recently and they were saying, it's funny that this is sort of a dating podcast. I don't think I've ever been on a date.
Yeah.
I mean, this is someone who's been in a lot of relationships,
Yeah.
though. I mean, the whole dating thing has really broken down.
Yeah, see, I know, because now you don't ever ask somebody if they want to date.
Right.
Well, first of all, you don't even talk to them on the phone. I don't.
No,
I
I
text.
try not to.
Oh, me too. It's like I
Yeah.
text, I
Yeah.
text.
I do not
And
like
so
the
it's
phone.
like, let's hang out, for instance.
Right.
It's that's asking on a date, and it's not saying date at all.
Yeah.
But I am weird in that I started dating at a really early age, like asking women on dates when I was like 15 and going out on dates and I always kind of
But did you ride your bike, or how did this work?
we'd go meet at somewhere or do something, and then as soon as I could drive, then I would actually go on dates, like a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always had that sort of like, I still go on dates. I date people, but it's difficult for me. It's difficult.
Do you date multiple women at once?
Oh yeah.
See, I have this look on my face like I just smelled something bad. I don't mean to. I was just like, for me, I was never good at dating more than one person at once. And I know, like, any dating book says you really should. That's how you avoid getting too hung up on any one person. But I always, let's say, the most I ever did was like I would date two people at once. And very quickly, there was always one person that I liked a lot more than the other one. Usually that was the one that I felt in my head like I shouldn't be with. Like, that's the one that, like, why can't I make myself like this one? This is the one that's better for me.
Right.
And then I would try to continue to date both. And then really quickly I just felt like a whore or almost. And I wasn't sleeping with them, or like I was selling myself out, because it's like I wasn't being true to my own feelings because I was trying to coerce my feelings in a different direction.
Yeah, sex is when it becomes strange, because if you're having sex with multiple people, then it becomes a different situation.
Right.
But yeah, I don't have that. I don't have that problem. But if I'm like really crazy about somebody, then usually that relationship moves pretty quickly.
Yeah.
If the other person's interested. But I don't know. I'm much more cautious than I used to be too. I'm not willing, because I've seen people who I've been crazy with and stayed with for a long time, and they haven't always ended well. And so I don't totally trust my passion as I used to.
Let's take another call. Dre's on line 2. Let's see if he's there. His friend is getting married soon and already is on a short leash. How to get the soon-to-be wife to loosen the reins.
The friend wants to get the wife to loosen the reins?
Right. So basically, we lost him. But
okay.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
This guy's question was that his buddy's getting married in a few weeks, and he's already pretty whipped and pretty tied down and can't go out and can't have fun anymore. And he wanted to know how he should get the fiance to loosen the reins with the wedding impending. And I wanted to tell him,
Give it up.
Yeah.
give it up.
Yeah.
Give it up.
Find
You
a new
can't.
friend, but
Not even possible. Not even close to possible. That's like, that means that's the personality type of your friend who lets himself be put on a short leash.
Right. Yeah, find new friends. That's my advice.
Yeah.
So let's see. Here's the list of things I had written down that I might want to ask you about.
Oh.
I'm just going to cross out that Scooby-Doo. That went nowhere. Let's see. Number superstition. You're superstitious when it comes to numbers. Yes, and I think we had...
Did I talk about that last time on here?
Yes,
Yeah.
and also, you were concerned that I was going to be raped in the Tournament of Rosen.
Oh, I was. Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
and
yeah,
I wasn't.
yeah.
I
You
wasn't.
weren't raped.
Yeah, so see,
Yeah.
fears unfounded.
But did you meet? Is this where you met your boyfriend?
No, actually, it's not. Although he heard like the contest gearing up or something and was like, "I wonder if I should." And then he's like, "No, that's the last, the last thing I should ever do." He and I were friends when that was starting.
Right.
I really was genuinely single when that happened.
Yeah.
But he and I started dating around the time that the winner was announced.
So it's a whole scam. It's like Tila Tequila on that first one where she had a boyfriend the whole time she was on the show or whatever. I mean, that's what I hear.
I would prefer to compare myself to someone from The Bachelor,
I
but
think of you a lot like Tila Tequila.
yeah, I get that. I get that a lot, but no, it really wasn't, because I really was only friends with him, and I'd only just met him during the whole Tournament of Rosen thing, and he's someone where I was friends with him at the beginning, and I didn't know how I felt. I didn't know whether I wanted to be anything more, and we didn't start dating until after the contest. So I
Right.
really was genuinely open to being raped, but it didn't happen. So, see, okay, but I guess on that same, and this happened on the Adam Carolla show. That's where we were talking about it. But I guess in that same episode, we talked about your number superstition.
Yeah,
But so
yeah.
what is it? Because, and I don't remember how much we talked about it because
don't
I
either.
am weirdly superstitious with numbers too.
Well, I have a, well, I guess what would be considered minor OCD.
Me too.
And so I'm remarkably clean and well groomed. That's the good part of it.
Me too.
And then, but then also I have a susceptibility to, I notice numbers all the time. And there's a lot of other little crazy quirks I have that I've had to try to put the reins on pretty big time because some of them have negatively affected my life.
Like, what are some of these?
Like I need to wear a new piece of clothing. If I'm doing something that is even remotely important, I need to wear a new piece of clothing. So something that I've never worn before. Could be a watch, could be socks, could be underwear, but it has to be new.
Okay.
And so, for instance, like when I make a movie, I have to go buy like enough stuff so that I'm wearing something new on set every single day.
And what happens if you can't do this? Or
I freak out a little bit, but
Okay.
it's like I've gotten much better with it. I've gotten much better with it. I really have. And having 250 pairs of shoes is part of it because I've spent way more money on clothes than I should.
Right.
And I recently went to Argentina, and I had this girl she asked me how many pairs of shoes I had, and I told her, and she looked at me like she was so disgusted. Like she was like this middle class Argentina girl, very pretty, and she was like she just found it despicable that there are people out there without anything, and I have 250 pairs of shoes. And it was like I felt like I felt like Imelda Marcos. I mean,
Right.
I felt like a horrible person, and I went home that night and I couldn't believe. So I'm trying to really curtail that. I did wear a new watch today. But it's like,
oh, we're important.
yeah, you're important. And I also have a party tonight to go to. So it's like,
not that important.
well, it's both. It's to kill two birds with one stone. I'm very happy when I can do two things in one day. But it's
so wait, the clock resets in the morning because.
the clock resets whenever I put that outfit on, I suppose. Yeah.
But I mean, is the watch new? What I don't want.
Yeah. I bought this watch yesterday.
But will it be new when you go to the party tomorrow?
Tonight.
Tonight, I mean, because you've already worn it here.
Yes, tonight. Yeah, I'll wear it tonight. I'm so crazy. I'll wear it tonight. No. I'm still got the same outfit. I'm going to go directly from here over to
Oh,
this
okay.
party. So it's like I'm
So
still
the newness
cool.
is still intact.
Still new.
The new.
However,
Highness
if I
has not
wear
been
this
broken.
watch tomorrow, it'll have a little.
Carry on, please.
It'll have a little bit of newness, so it's better than wearing these pants which I've worn a million times.
Right.
But it's not as good as wearing it on the first day.
Yes.
So I'm crazy about that.
Okay.
I used to be crazy about, and I had to quit doing it, which is the stupid things we make are, that I make my personal, I have an assistant, and I make her do, she knows every little crazy thing about me.
That's a good assistant.
And one of the crazy things is I used to eat Flintstones vitamins every morning. And I fell into some sort of
As an adult?
Yeah, for my whole entire life.
I do that too.
Yeah.
And in fact, Adam, more than once, has mocked adults who eat chewable vitamins.
Yeah, I really like them.
And I don't.
You become addicted to it. Like I eat my breakfast, and then I go and I need to have this chewable vitamin.
Oh. Well, for me, it's just that the ones that I swallow make me feel nauseated. And so I looked up online, what do vitamins, nauseous. And then what they say is, get the children's chewable ones.
Well, you have a good reason. I don't have a good reason. I just like the taste of Flintstones vitamins.
Okay.
But so
favorite flavor?
See, that's that's where I'm crazy.
Oh, okay.
So there's orange ones,
Yeah.
and purple ones,
Yeah,
and
good.
red ones,
Yeah.
right? And so you take them by I would take
Well, there's
one.
a cherry and a strawberry, I think. There's two different color reds.
Not in mine. There's only
Okay.
one red. But when you take them out at random, if I had a red one, that meant I was going to have a good day. If I had a purple one,
Yes.
that meant I was going to have an okay day. Yes. And if I had an orange one, that meant I
go
was
back
going
to
to have a bad day. And I did that for 10 years, where I know logically that's ridiculous and it doesn't make sense. But you start to I believe it.
Right.
And so I started to have my assistants go out and try to do everything they can do to find red chewable vitamins, so that every day is a good day.
You're gaming the system.
I'm breaking. Yeah, it's my cheat code.
I love that.
So yeah, that. There's all sorts of things, but I really have gotten better. I really, really have gotten better.
See, I have a magic 8-ball.
Oh,
But I have a
nice.
rule
What is it?
with myself. No morbid questions. Because I will not say, is this plane going to crash? Not that I take it on the plane, but I mean, like, am I going to die tomorrow? Like, I won't ask it anything like that. I had to protect myself. I had to do that because I do a lot of things, not the Flintstone thing, but like, okay, if I make this, and I'm going to throw this thing in the wastebasket. If I get it in, then this good thing will happen.
That's there's a lot of people that have that. That's very similar to that's very similar to my thing.
And I also,
but I don't play those games with myself. I've stopped playing those games.
Smart.
It's just all things that like I can't help believing already.
Right. Well, the last thing I look at before I go to sleep, there's a lot of like if I'm ever reading a magazine, I will stay up longer than I should because I don't want that to be the last thing I saw. I don't want that to be the last thing I saw.
Yeah.
Oh, now you're judging?
No, not weird. Like no, it's like weird because I'm like, oh fuck, I don't even want to hear this.
Oh, sorry. Maybe I
That's
shouldn't
all right
even.
because now I'm going to think about it. Yeah.
Okay.
But that's okay. Go ahead and say, yeah.
I mean, as long as it's not anything grisly or like upsetting that I look at, I'm okay. And then I don't like to wake up on a 0 or a 5, so I will set my alarm for like 9:01.
Right.
But initially that started because when I was a kid, my alarm clock, the snooze button was 9 minutes, so I would set it for like 7:01 or 6:01 then, and then I'd hit snooze, and then I'd wake up on a 10. But that fell by the wayside
and you just
really quickly.
Stayed with the 1, but lost the 10.
Yeah, I don't 0 or 5. That's what the man wants you to wake up on. And then with I don't like to put anything in a microwave for 0 or 5. Either, but I can if I have to. But I like, so I usually put in too much time on the microwave, and then I get it out at some like quote unquote random number. But occasionally I'll hit the stop, and then it'll be like 110 left on there. I'm like, ugh.
My number thing is like it's everywhere. I see numbers everywhere, and all numbers mean different numbers mean different things, and it's a mess. But I've gotten better with this stuff. I mean,
have you ever been assigned a phone number you can't live with?
No, I have not.
Okay, so how does the number thing manifest then? Do you not want to talk about it? You don't have to.
It's just, when I was a kid, I learned everything there was to learn about numerology. Numerology, and it's ridiculous. The weird thing is I'm a total skeptic. Like, I don't believe in any bullshit. And so it's like, certain numbers mean certain things. Certain numbers aren't so good. Certain numbers are better, and they're everywhere. And so it's hard to deal with. But the weird thing, all of this stuff is like has to do with like issues of being out of control as a kid. And even though it seems like it's something we're haunting ourselves with, it's really something where we're like, oh, there's some control over things.
Right.
Because we feel out of control. And like, it's like the people who do the 9/11 conspiracy theories, right? Like those people, like it seems like, oh, everything's so out of control. But what they're really doing is they want to believe that there's some master design that's causing their lives to suck. And so that for them believing in these ridiculous conspiracy theories, it actually is more comforting to them in some part of their soul than believing that everything's just totally random or that, terrorists are evil and fucking destroy shit or whatever they don't want to believe.
Right. I think it's a coping mechanism to deal with trauma.
Yeah.
The idea of trauma or having already experienced trauma or just anything where all of a sudden you feel tiny and out of control.
And you're constantly looking everywhere and seeing connections where there are none. That's like a basic thing human beings do.
Right.
What's on your list?
Okay. Number superstition, stripper rape, baby dolphin. Oh, you posted a photo of a baby dolphin and I retweeted it.
Yeah.
And it was adorable.
Yeah, it's really cute.
There really is nowhere to go with that. Rescuing a cat.
Yeah, I just rescued a cat yesterday. I've been walking down I take my dog for a walk almost every day, and I was taking him for a walk for the past couple of days, and I heard like this baby noise in the bushes. I'm like, what the hell is that? And I walked over to the bushes. It's my neighbor's house, and my neighbors have been out of town, and there was this little cat in there, which I thought was a kitten, but now I'm starting to think she's just a midget, and she was just crying, and so for like 2 days she was crying. And the second day, I'm like, I thought about taking her in, but I didn't, and I dreamt about her all night. And so yesterday, I went over there and I took the cat and tricked her into coming into my house, and now she lives in my house. So I think I'm actually minorly allergic to cats, and so actually some cats I'm crazy allergic to, but her I seem to either not be allergic or only minorly. and so I'm waiting to see how that pans out. But I'm basically thinking I'm just going to give her a cool place to hang out and live,
Right.
and then find a good home for her, hopefully with a friend, so I can hang out with her some more. I already really like her, and we hung out. We watched American Idol last night. And she patted my belly
Aw.
and laid on my stomach. She doesn't like my dog. She swatted my dog this morning, and
Right, and your dog yelped, right?
my dog yelped.
I read
yeah,
your blog.
and my little thing. Yeah, she peed on my meditation
Yes.
pillow. It was actually Mia's meditation pillow that she left at the house, and so she's not. I don't know where she's doing.
She's got
that.
anger issues.
She was hiding. Yeah, she didn't really seem. She's hiding under the sofa now. She's kind of scared to come out. She's okay when it's just me, but my parents are staying with me for this month, and so if my parents are around, she doesn't want to come out. If the dog is around, she doesn't want to come out. And I'm having a few friends over tonight, so I'm afraid she's going to be terrified under there with people sitting in the family room.
Aw.
But she's really cute, and maybe I'll be giving her away at some point. But I doubt I'll be giving her away to some person off Twitter or something. It'll probably be a friend.
And you've named her already, sort of?
The weird thing is, I don't know why I called her Emily. Even when I saw her, I was calling her Emily to try to get her to come in. It's, how some animals just seem to have a name.
Yeah.
So it seemed to be her name. So I called her Emily. That's what I've been calling her. And I know. It's I love her too. She's so cute. But I'm also a little afraid she's pregnant. Because I
Oh.
saw her come out of the bush.
Kittens having kittens.
I know. I saw her come out of the bushes the other day with a man whore cat. And the
Is
man
this a
whore
cat you know from the neighborhood, or you could just tell?
He had a look on his face.
What?
He did.
Dudes know.
He was both ashamed and proud, and so I'm a little afraid. I hope to God she's not pregnant, because then I have to find
A lot of...
kitten homes.
Yeah.
Or I don't know if you abort kittens or something. Somebody put on my Facebook page that they had their kittens aborted, but it seems scary. I don't know.
It's weird. I'm actually pro-choice, and yet the idea of kitten abortion seems so sad.
I guess it depends on
And
how
weird.
far along they are.
Yeah,
In the same way that I
right.
feel about abortion.
Well, yeah, when does life start, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, so rescuing the cat, PG porn. I'll read all of them, and then we'll just choose whatever's
Yeah.
good. Accosted as someone dressed as you.
Oh.
That's on your bio or your freelance questions.
Oh, that's not a big deal. Yeah, that's the second movie I ever did, I guess, was this movie called The Specials, and I guess a few times people have come up dressed as me, as my character at conventions and stuff.
Oh,
Yeah.
like approached, not accosted. Like they
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
they didn't hit you with a sack full of pennies.
No.
You say on your website frequently asked questions that you like directing more than writing,
Yeah, for sure.
and then also
I guess. You know what? I do and I don't. I find directing more fulfilling than writing, but writing can actually be more fun. Directing is sort of hellish. I mean, people do not understand what it means to direct a movie. And when you're actually directing a film, there's nothing that's more exhausting or more difficult or is more stressful. I mean, the average Directors Guild of America member lives 16 years less longer than your average person.
Geez, like being president.
Right. It kills you.
It ages you.
Yeah, and it's very difficult. But at the end of the road, you have pieces of art that you feel proud about because they're what you meant them to be. I mean,
Right.
I think the only movie that I really felt great about after it was done was Dawn of the Dead, and that's because Zack Snyder, who directed that movie, really understood what I was doing with the script, and also he was able to bring his own part to the movie, so there was a real collaboration. Other times I just always felt like it was a milkier version of what I had written, so it was very hard.
Hair, white man's fro. I
Oh.
believe on your website you also
Wow,
talk
God,
about your
some weird
hair.
things. I get a lot of questions about my hair.
Rusk wired, that's what you use, and you've been using it for
Oh,
years.
Yeah, I have been. Yeah, I've been using it forever.
Because if you don't use it, your hair sticks up in weird directions or something?
My hair just sticks up. People never believe this
Yeah,
until
I'm dubious.
until somebody sleeps with me and then they know my hair sticks up.
I know your follicular secrets.
It's my hair just sticks up to a certain length. It'll get longer and start to
Right.
fall, but up to a certain length, it just sticks up like crazy. And that's why I call it the white man's fro, just because it's totally straight hair
Right.
that sticks up. It's Asian hair, actually. I have Asian hair. And
Do you have Asian in you?
no. It's just I have their hair.
Oh.
Well,
You're lucky because I get my hair Japanese straightened.
Really?
I try to
Yeah.
approximate Asian hair.
Wow. Yeah, no, I don't try to have Asian hair. It's just really straight.
Right.
And so when I put Rusk Wired in there, oh my God, I can't believe I'm talking about this on a radio show.
I
Although
know.
I have been asked this question literally at least 100 times. I put it in there to make it the spikes slightly thicker, so it's just not like this round porcupine head that I
Right,
have.
right.
You know, and maybe give it more texture or something. But my hair sticks up no matter what. I do not make it stick up.
Okay, and then also Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. That's one of my favorite movies.
That's probably my favorite film. That and there's a few others that I really love. I
Mm-hmm.
would say the movie After Hours is one of my favorites. Taxi Driver, the two Godfather movies, Once Upon a Time in the West, but definitely of recent films, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind is my favorite movie.
That scene near the end, and I'm going to butcher it, but where I haven't seen it in a while, but where he wants her. Okay, you can fill in the blanks because now I'm totally fucking it up. Where she's like, what? And he's like, just wait. And when he wants her to wait, and then she says, what? And it's like, well, and he just wants her to wait, though. Like, he just wants things to slow down. And it's not that he has something specific to say.
Yeah, I don't.
You don't know this? I know, because
No.
I described it so poorly.
No, well, it's also I'm not one of these movie guys who can go around and say every single bit of dialogue.
Right.
I have tons of friends like that.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
just
it's
not
not
like that guy. And
I'm obviously not either, because it's not the dialogue.
I think
it's
I've
more
seen
just
Eternal-
the emotional part of that. For some reason, that resonated so deeply with me. That whole, just what it meant to me was just wanting to sort of just freeze a moment and not part just yet.
Yeah, I think that the scene that always resonates with me from that film is the scene where they're walking around the house with the cassettes playing of the things that they would say about each other.
Yes.
And that to me was so much like being in a relationship where they're these two innocent people who haven't been marred by these beliefs or whatever, these two innocent souls that are walking around having this conversation, but everything they're doing is being drowned out by these stories that they've built up about each other and these resentments that they've built up about each other over however many years. And I found that really that scene's just amazing. But the whole movie, technically the movie's amazing. It's really a beautiful film.
Yeah. Well, James Gunn, thank you so much for
Thank
stopping
you.
by and letting us pick your brain.
This is the weirdest podcast I ever did. I actually talked
know.
about... Yeah. I'm always a little afraid. I leave these podcasts. I got really afraid last time with Adam talking about the rape stuff.
Oh, right.
But it's I always get afraid leaving that, oh my God, I overstepped my boundaries so bad. I'm going to get in so much trouble by some people from my past. So anyway.
I actually don't. I mean, even
hope
though you
that's
talked
not
about
the
a lot of
case.
personal stuff here, I don't think you said anything that anyone could turn around and be upset about.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
But, I'm very open about things, and not everybody is. So hopefully it's okay.
I feel like now, if you show up somewhere, though, and you're not wearing something new, people are going to feel like, why didn't this warrant that kind of neurotic
you
thing?
love me?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Hang on one second while I give a little bit of love to our sponsors. And you are working on an upcoming video game.
Yes.
Perhaps you're familiar with GameFly. And
Of course.
Oh, okay.
Sure, GameFly's great.
Tell me about that.
It's just great.
It's like Netflix. It's like Netflix for video games. It's a video game rental system. God, I was like in the palm of your hand. I'm like, tell me more. That's how convincing you are.
Well,
So
no, it
video-
is. It's like well, Netflix is the greatest thing, right?
Yeah.
GameFly.
It's also
it's
great.
like Netflix
Yeah.
for games.
It's a video game rental system that delivers
Because games are expensive.
They are. And you buy one and then you're stuck with it. Not with GameFly. It's a video game rental system that delivers games to your door and now directly to your PC. They have over 8,000 video console games to choose from. So you can sign up at gamefly.com/Rosen or go to gamefly.com and click the banner. Go to gamefly.com and click the joystick on the top right and type in Rosen. But an easier way is just to go through the GameFly banner on my site, AlisonRosen.com. You can start now at GameFly for just $7.95, which is not very much at all. But as a special promotion to my listeners, you get 15 days free. Half a month.
Wow, that's
more
great.
than half a month in February.
That's a lot of video game playing.
It really is. Especially like me. Especially if you're like me and
play every day.
You play on the toilet.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But not a console system, just
like
crap on my iPhone.
What do you play? Angry Birds?
Temple Run is this one. Temple Run, and I think it's called Cannibalt or something.
You want to have a real big problem with video games?
Okay.
Download Tower Madness on your iPhone or your iPad.
Don't.
Yeah.
He's right.
Is it like Tiny Tower? Because I'm losing my boyfriend to that game right now.
Like, let's say You know, you always thought like, you know, Tetris was like the crack of video games. No, this Tetris is marijuana in comparison to Tower Madness.
Tower Madness or Tower of Madness?
Tower Madness.
Tower Madness.
But it's a beautiful game. It's I mean, it's simple looking, but it's a tower defense game, and it's the craziest, most addictive game you will ever play in your life. And I've mastered it. I've gotten every single map, like all the way except for one stupid map. But it's a great game.
Okay, sold. If only GameFly had that. Maybe they do, for all I know. Also, Amazon. You're probably going to buy stuff from Amazon anyway. It does not cost you anything extra to go through the Amazon banner on my site, and then that helps the show out. And while you're there, there's a banner for Endless, which is shoes and accessories. James, this would be right up your alley since you're the Imelda Marcos of Twisted filmmakers.
Yeah.
but humorous cross-genre filmmakers with Asian hair.
Yeah.
Free 2-day shipping, and there's like over 1,000 different brands of shoes and accessories. So click the banner on my site for that as well. And thank you so much for listening, everyone, and for rating this show highly. If you listened and enjoyed it, please rate it highly. If you didn't like it, then you know what? You don't need to rate it. And you can follow me on Twitter at Alison Rosen. You can follow the show's Twitter feed at ARIYNBF, which is Alison Rosen is your new best friend. It is not Aryan boyfriend. You guys are really clever thinking that it's that. Everyone thinks that's what it is, but it's not.
No.
That's weird. That's not what this show's about.
That would be terrible. That would be
strange.
awful, offensive. Yeah. You can follow me at James Gunn.
I was just going to say. Yes, and you can go to your website, which is jamesgunn.com.
JamesGunn.com. And then, you know what I've been doing, like having a heck of a lot of people do is subscribe to my Facebook. Which is like facebook.com/jgunn.
Okay.
Know? And that's been real fun because it's like Twitter, but you know I get it more in depth. I answer questions on there. People comment. It's I found the new Facebook stuff is actually really quite cool. So you know, check out Facebook and subscribe to me on there. I've reached my friend limit, but it doesn't make any difference. You subscribe to somebody, you get all the same stuff as you do if you know.
Maybe I should update my whatevers because whenever I go to Facebook, it's like, look at our new blah, blah, blah. And then I just I X out of it because I don't want to go to the new timeline-y thing. Maybe I should.
No. You know, the timeline's okay, but I think the new Facebook stuff is actually quite good. So for me, it's been great because I used to have a fan page and then this page.
Right.
And
I know I have 3 pages.
Right, and so now I just do everything from the one page, and it makes it a lot easier.
Anything else we should know about you or that you want to plug or that we should be on the lookout for?
Lollipop Chainsaw in next few months, and then movie. What the hell's the name of that movie? Movie 41 this summer, and that's about it.
How's 41 in terms of numbers?
It's not very good, actually, to be quite honest. I'm not too happy with that number, but, I'll live with it.
Just wear a lot of new stuff that day.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right.
Thank you. This is fun.
Thank you. Thanks for listening, you guys. Bye.
Hey, do you know about the Alison Rosen show? We had a good time, now we gotta go. Thank you for watching the Alison Rosen show. Alison Rosen is your new best friend. That's right. And those
listening to the Ace Broadcasting Network.